Hello, everyone. My name is Brent Cromer, and this is the FSA podcast where we teach online health coaches how to sell at a higher rate and scale their business with more profit. Today, I'm joined by Lauren Scholl, one of C4F's finest. She is a former pro dance instructor. She was an in-person fitness coach. She's a mom of 2 boys, 3 dogs. And in the last year or 2 years, she has made a very profitable transition coming into online coaching. I'm excited, guys. I think this interview is going to be good. I think her story is going to resonate with a lot of you who are listening that maybe have some extracurricular things going on in your life, trying to balance the personal life, the business, all the different things that life throws at you. So, Lauren, appreciate you for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, walk us through like day one, like the beginning, right? You're in person. What made you even want to go online at all?
Yeah, so I was in person. I was working from like 5 a.m. most mornings straight through until like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Now I'd have
Wow.
like a midday break, but my
Mm-hmm.
kids were in school. So like I had a midday break and wasn't able to do any of those things that
Mm-hmm.
like enjoy time with the kids or, go watch basketball games or anything like that. Um, I was just getting in when the kids were going to bed. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually, two things happened. One, I was like, I'm missing out on life and
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. But number two, I also realized that my income was very capped. Like my schedule was booked solid
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, and I was really in no way, shape, or form able to grow my business at that point.
Okay. So, working long hours, weren't really feeling like fulfilled as far as like the time you could spend with your family and your kids. I can appreciate all of that. Now, for someone who is in person with a capped out schedule, what was the income like?
Now I worked for myself, so like I have a studio
Okay.
gym that we built like in over COVID time so I could continue to train my clients.
Hmm.
So, I was pulling in 75 to $85 an hour.
Nice.
Which was good if I had a good seven clients that day. It was
Hmm.
good for me.
Yeah.
Um but if you know me, which I'm sure we'll get to know me a little bit more, I'm someone that's always going to be striving for that next level.
Sure.
Um, and I didn't feel like that could really happen.
Sure. So 75 to 85 bucks an hour. This is with you having your own studio. I was under the impression that you were working for like a gym or something like that. But being capped, 75 times 7 people, that's 500 bucks a day. 5 days a week, that's pretty good. Times 52 weeks, you're making, if you averaged around seven, that's 130,000. Like that's not bad. A lot of people would kill for that, right?
Yeah.
But that's a pretty brutal lifestyle to have 7 packed clients every single day. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you just really like my personal life was also suffering from that because if I had back-to-back days, like I wasn't getting meals in, I wasn't getting to train myself,
Mhm.
especially starting at 5:30 in the morning and trying to get your own workout in, like not going to happen.
Sure.
So a lot of those pieces definitely played a role in how I felt about, the
Mhm.
way I was training clients to live their best life and to do all those things and
Yeah.
prioritize it. In the meantime, like, you
Mhm.
know, I wasn't walking the walk
Sacrificing.
myself.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what you're saying is the money wasn't worth it. The money,
Yeah,
there has to be a balance. Is that right?
100%. And
Yeah.
especially like if you have, I say this, it's for the same for everyone, but when you have kids that
Mhm.
are growing so fast and, you know, athletes and you want to, go to their basketball games or baseball
Mhm.
games or, do fun projects, homework with them. Like it was just, you can't do that.
Yeah. And that's it's not a life anyone wants to live. So we woke up, we decided I'm going online. What was your main struggle, or I suppose like the biggest learning curve with taking all that face-to-face in-person action and then putting it onto Instagram and Facebook and trying to train people remotely?
It was a big learning curve for me.
In
Um,
what
you
ways?
know, well, the biggest transition was that, now I had overhead costs and, part of my overhead in training my clients was really just building out my gym. Once that was done, my overhead was for the most part aside from like some small equipment stuff, like it was all done and over easy transaction.
Yeah.
Now I went to building, an online platform. I wanted to be able to create a program that was going to give the same hands-on experience of personal training, because that's not why I loved being, in person, was being able to hands like physically be able to help clients.
Sure.
How can you do that when you're not physically in there? I had to figure out that way to be able
Mm-hmm.
to do those things. And then also how to organize my time, how to become efficient. I went from going a client, back to back to back to back in person, where I have to show up physically, be there, train them, and on to the next.
Right.
Now I had like an entire day of like, I got to spend this time programming. I got to do nutrition programs this time. I've got to get social media marketing on
Mm-hmm.
this way. Um, it was definitely a different world for me.
Yeah. And it is for a lot of people, and it terrifies them because you're taking everything as physical and brick and mortar and you're saying, let's just do it online. A lot of people worry that results are going to suffer. Have you found that to be true?
No, I found it to be the exact opposites
Interesting.
of result suffering. Um, when a client would come to see me twice a week, maybe on average, some of them would come maybe three times a week, but on average, like twice a week, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
They come, they show up for their 6 a.m. training session, and then they're like hustling to work, right? So on the way to work, they stop at the McDonald's, at the end, get
Yeah.
their coffee, get their egg McMuffin,
Mm-hmm.
and I get there's the 60 minutes with them, and that's it. So they'd be busting their butts in the gym in
Just to
training
blow it.
just to blow it.
Just to blow it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Lauren, if you guys haven't noticed, she's one of our clients here at C4F, which is why, preface, she's one of C4F's finest. Something I really admire about Lauren that we talk about all the time as coaches is Lauren's work ethic. Like, Lauren is not afraid of taking massive action, whether it's sloppy or not. I don't really care. Like, the fact that you're willing and able to just take action on things that we encourage you to do is, in my opinion, one of the best character traits a business owner can have, like, without any shadow of a doubt. Lauren, do you feel the same, or what do you think is the most important trait that a business owner can have?
I feel the same. I feel this work ethic. I think with work ethic, one of the things, like, when you're a business owner, you don't report to anybody, right? You don't have someone saying you have to
Hmm.
get this done, you have to get this completed by this time. There's nobody there to make you do that. It's your
Mm.
responsibility, and
Yep.
if you fall short of that responsibility, the consequences aren't, you know a write up, or like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like what things would be like if you were at a
Yeah.
gym or
Yeah.
something like that. But the
Punitive
consequences,
action. Yeah.
right, the consequences are your clients don't have what they need, or your business does not continue to grow, or like, those are the consequences for not fulfilling the duties
Hmm.
that you're still responsible for as a business owner. And I think because we have our own flexibility to be able to run our time the way we want to run it, it can then turn into, oh, that'll get done tomorrow, that'll get done next week,
Hmm.
oh, I'm going to take the
Yeah.
weekend
Tough.
off. Yeah.
It's a cycle. It is a cycle. Yeah. And I think my favorite part about that answer is the fact that you address the cost of inaction, right? Which is something that we ask our clients on every call. Every call that you get on, every call that I get on, that's a sales call. That's one of the biggest questions I ask is, what happens if nothing changes? What happens if the gun goes off, everybody takes off, and you're just standing there at the starting line, watching everybody else do the thing, but you're frozen? What does that look like in 3, 6, 12 months if you just stay right there with your feet in the cement, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times as business owners, it's not always the most pleasant thought, but I think it's 100% necessary to account for, like, well, okay, what if I don't do this today? What if I don't post? What if I don't prospect? What if I don't DM? What if I don't hop on the sales call? What if I don't create any reels or any content? It's much more important, right, than the cost of not doing something at work, right? Oh, you didn't fill out this form. You didn't do this report. You didn't get this done in time. It's small, punitive responses. But as a business owner, it's like, that's the difference between putting food on your table. That's the difference between making sure that your kids have school clothes and things like
Yep.
that. So like when you can think logically, even though it doesn't feel good, like what happens if I don't show up for myself? Like there's a lot of people that suffer aside from just you and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that too, like as your business continues to grow, I went from a one person operating business to now having people that work for me. So, you know, now that responsibility continues to grow and grow and grow as well, right? Now it's making sure that my assistant coaches have full rosters and that that they're happy. And if I just stop doing things like marketing, all of a sudden there goes their turnover, their
Yep.
rosters dwindle, and now I'm taking food off their table, not just my table.
Yep.
um and
As if
that's
there's
not.
not enough
Yeah.
stress and pressure as a business owner. But I mean, that's the reality of it. And so many people, they're owning a business is so glorified. And trust me, I love it. I love owning a business. I love all the challenges. I look through things in a different lens than I did when I first started. I don't know if you were the same, but like when I first started, it was like, oh shit, this happened. Oh no, dude, this is the end. Oh, what a mess. Oh, how am I going to fix this? And now it's just like, I just wake up, I get to my computer, and I just keep a notepad handy. And I'm like, okay, what's going wrong? Okay, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. And then I just time block and I address those things as they come up. Do you feel the same, or when you started as a as a business owner, were you just like, let's go, like just full pumped?
Um, it definitely came in waves, I would say. I definitely, and still to this day, I ride the roller coaster. I am
Okay,
enthusiastic. I 100% feel like I am blessed to be able to do what I do. So
sure.
I'm always excited. I'm someone that always feels like there's room for personal growth. That's
Hmm.
I always feel like I could be doing something a little bit better. I could improve this piece of my program. I could, like there's always room for growth, and I get excited for those things.
Sure.
But when your whole heart goes into something and then you have a fear of like, oh my gosh, this is going wrong, or oh my gosh, like I had like this system totally didn't work and this is a catastrophe. Like
Hmm.
definitely those moments of panic. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the most important part of those times of panic is like that resilience of like not living in the problem but finding the solution, and like
Exactly.
attacking the solution. And that's like the big piece for me. I don't like to feel that feeling of panic, so my first instinct is, what's the solution? What's
Hmm.
going to fix this?
That's what a good buddy of mine told me very early on. He's like, dude, you are on the verge of like a mental breakdown, like always. He's like, you are just like always stressed. You are wound so tight. Like you take every thing that goes wrong in your business as like a personal slight towards you. Or it's like the world. It's like, oh, go figure. Like this would happen to me. And a lot has changed since then. But I did realize, like I was playing a little bit of the victim. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, woe is me. Of course, this would happen to me. Like I have so many more hurdles than everyone else starting a business. And then once I ditched that mentality and I just kind of kept myself a little bit more even, I just look at problems as like just a normal daily occurrence that I 100% fully anticipate and expect. Ever since I kind of changed the lens at like which I view my business, I feel like those highs and lows are not very dramatic. I'm able to make better decisions, throughout the week. Now, do you feel like what are some things that you have done to maybe mitigate some of those ups and downs and those emotional swings?
I invested in myself and education. Like I think
Okay.
is like the biggest thing that I've done to kind of help. I've invested in mentorship. Obviously, I get to work with people like yourself who have just helped
Appreciate
me
that.
like look at the bigger picture and sometimes take a step back, right? Looking at trends, look instead of looking at day to day, right? One
Yes.
person says that they're not happy with their program and they didn't get the results that they were looking for. How
Hmm.
many factors played into that? What was their level of consistency with our program? Their compliance with our program. Did they do their
Sure.
check-ins? Was it our system that was the problem, or was it was it them that just didn't commit to doing their check-ins? All of those questions go through your head, but people like my mentors and what you have helped me do too is take a step back and be like, okay, out of how many clients that you have are you having this problem with? Well, Brent,
Exactly.
it's just this one. Okay. Well, this could be definitely situational. We can take a look at your systems. We can take a look at what those things look like. But in the grand scheme of things, is this something that we have to go flip everything over and
Right.
reconstruct right now? Probably not. Um,
It's a really
that
good
has
point.
been like a really big piece of just helping me even out my level
Mhm.
of crazy.
And I think it goes in like so many different aspects too. It just ask yourself, is this a trend or is this a one-off thing? You know,
Yeah.
it's it's really funny. I'm going to give you such a generic, and this reference will probably not land with 90% of people listening. But Brooke and I we went out into the mountains and we were doing some like shooting. We like target shooting, and it's like you want to shoot groups, right? You want to shoot like nice tight groups, so you never make any decisions, Lauren, off of one shot. Okay, are you a shooter? Have you shot targets or anything before?
I have, yes.
Okay. So when you're shooting, like a common mistake a lot of people will make is they'll shoot once and it doesn't hit the bullseye, and they're like, okay, adjust the scope, move this around, adjust this. Then they shoot again and it's completely somewhere else. They're like, what the hell happened? I made the changes, like, well, and then they make it another adjustment, and then it's somewhere else, right? So you're chasing the bullet. You're all over the target, and like the decisions that you're making don't actually lead to anything um, replicatable, right? It doesn't get you to the desired result. So the way that you shoot, or the way that you're supposed to shoot, that they recommend is you're supposed to shoot in groupings. Are you familiar with that concept?
I don't know that I learned that concept, no.
Yeah.
But this is all
So
making a ton of sense. I'm learning more here.
yeah. So it's like when you shoot, you want to shoot in 3-shot groups. So if I'm aiming at the bullseye and I hit top right, I'm like, okay, make no changes. Aim at the bullseye again and shoot again. If I hit, same spot top right, I'm going to shoot one more time. And if I hit top right 3 times in a row, now I can make a decision to adjust my scope to bring it back down, shoot another group, and maybe I'm on for 3. Now I made a good decision. Does that make sense?
100%.
But what can happen that can kind of throw a wrench in things is you can shoot a grouping, you can shoot 2 shots that are in the same hole, and then you'll have a flyer. You'll have one that's like completely like off, like barely on the target, and you're like, what the heck happened there? So you shoot another grouping. So everything you do is like it's all trends. Okay. So if you're trending in this direction and there's just like a weird flyer, you tend not to cater to the flyer. You're going to cater to the groupings. So no different than business. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll hear someone give a bad review. Hey, I just didn't feel like I got the accountability. And they're like, oh my God. All right. Firing this coach, doing this, changing this, changing this. And it's like, was it a grouping or was it a flyer? And so like I think that's a really good way to go about business before you make any big decisions.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. So get out and target shoot. I say as much as you can,
I
as
used
much
to
as it
do like
relates.
the clay shooting,
Oh, okay. All right.
like clay targets, or we
Yeah.
did that a couple times, so
A little bit
it's
of
fun.
trap shooting.
Yeah.
Fun
My
stuff.
husband's into that stuff.
All right. Well, someday when I meet you both, we'll have plenty of activities to do. So, Lauren, you're an advanced coach at this stage. Like I think that's pretty clear. Like you've got a team, you've got assistants, you've got coaches below you. You run ads, you have CRM, you have mentorship, you have all the things that I would consider to be like an advanced coach. Obviously, that was not the case the entire time. So before ads, how were you getting clients?
Organics. I was posting on social media literally, every day, not to an annoying level, I like to think. But
Yeah,
creating value with each and every one of my posts. Creating content that would resonate, and still at that point probably still figuring out who my target audience was so I could speak directly to them. I think in that
smart.
point of my business I probably didn't have a clear picture of the people that I best help. um So I did a lot of like reaching out through social media, people that engaged on my post, having conversations with them. A lot of referrals in the beginning of, clients that were super happy, getting connected with their communities and stuff like that kind of helped me. um, I would say probably get to a point where, I got my first 50 clients
Nice.
in that way.
So there's a lot of just like bootstrapping, doing the DMs, doing the posting, doing all the organic things, networking, getting your name out there, posting very consistently. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it was a grind.
That's exactly what I want to touch on here, because there's a lot of new coaches that aren't willing to do that. Just to be transparent with you, a lot of people try to cut the line. They like to go right into ads. They lose their money. They take out loans. They go back to coaching on the floor or go back to another job because they try to cut the line, in my opinion. Does it work for some people? Yes, maybe like 1 out of like 50. Okay. What is your advice for those people who are in that like phase one, like building that initial clientele so that they can make enough money to, run ads, scale out, build a team? Like, for the people who are in the thick of it, what's your advice for them?
Keep going and keep learning and keep doing the things. I have this rule in my business that I will not hire anybody to do something that I'm not great at.
Mm,
Because I think it's important for me to be able, as a business owner, number one, something bad happens, right? Someone has a health emergency, has to leave the job. You hire someone to be in your DMs and they can't show up. Like, someone has to be there, and it's likely
absolutely.
going to be you.
Hmm.
Um, so if I don't feel proficient in all areas of my business, I could not fill in. And that is I guess I'm also someone that likes control. I like to know that I
It's
can
fair.
do those things. And, for something you care so much about, like your business, it's important for you to feel like you can fill in the blanks wherever you need to fill in.
Absolutely.
So I had to be, in order for me to hire someone to be in my DMs, I had to be proficient in the DMs. I had
Yep.
to be proficient in organic outreach, cold outreach, warm outreach, posting on social media and creating content and
Yep.
reaching out to the people that have engaged with my stuff. I had to do all of those things. And guess what? In the beginning, I did it, and I did it very badly.
Yeah. You and everyone else.
I had to fail. I
Yep.
had to find my own success, but that allowed me to open the door to be able to coach someone through those failures, through those successes, um, and be able to offer them, a well-rounded level of, giving them an opportunity to be successful, in the position themselves too.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important to say, like, hey, like, sometimes you just got to put the time in. You got to learn from it and try to look for the things that you enjoy about it. Learn how to laugh at some of the crazy responses you get.
Yeah.
Learn how to just like keep it lighthearted, so like you can make those days go by a little bit faster.
Yep.
um but the more you do it, the the more successful you'll be. Like, you have no place to go but up if you are doing it. If you're
Yep.
not doing it, you're taking a huge risk. You're not setting up the person that's going to come in for, great success either. um and whether it's now or whether it's in 6 months, when something pops up and you have to pop in the DMs, and now you have a week of DMing that you don't know what you're doing, like,
Hmm.
you're at some point you're going to fall in a place where you're like, this is now affecting my business in a negative way.
Oh yeah. It's so funny too, because a lot of business coaches will teach like, hey, you can't be an expert at every facet of your business. Think about the CEO at the Fortune 500 company. He's not doing all of these things and these things. And it's like, yeah, I get that. But respectfully, you're not running a Fortune 500 company. You're running a small business with a team of 10 or less, right? And that's not a hit on you. Like, that is something to be super ultra proud of. You're doing something that 95% of the world cannot do. But again, we're not running Fortune 500 companies. I'm not either. Okay. So I think it's not unreasonable to understand and be proficient, at least proficient in every aspect of your business. So
Agreed.
if a coach, if a coach is telling you that you're above that and that you should scale out and hire, hire someone to do the boring work or the dumb things that you don't want to do, I think that's poor coaching, in my opinion.
I agree. And I will also tell you that in some ways, the person that is in my DMs right now, she does sometimes have better responses. Like
Yep.
she's probably better at this point at messaging than I am. I have great ideas. We kind of collaborate together, and we like to create that type
As you
of
should.
culture within my business. But um there's always going to be people that are going to get better. She has more experience now. She's been doing this for a longer time than I did it, when I
Hmm.
was starting up. But I have every bit of confidence that if something were to happen, if she takes a vacation and I have no one to fill in my DMs, I got it
Yep.
covered.
And we actually made that mistake. Come to think about it, Brooke, Brooke, my girlfriend Brooke,
Mhm.
when we scaled her business originally, she was she, I always dog on her in the nicest way. She wasn't good at sales, right? Which is how I got started in sales, which I'm forever thankful for. Um, Thankful for her deficiencies. No, I'm kidding. But filling in for her, what it did was it provided a spark in her business. It allowed her to get some cash rolling in, which then she put into ads. And then from there, I think I've told this story. You guys have probably heard it, but Brooke was stuck at like 2 to 3K. It was like one step forward, two steps back. Signed two clients, three leave, or like one payment defaults, one cancels, and then one's finished. You know what I mean? So it was always just that push and pull, right? And she could never just get that consistency until I was able to come in. I was able to help close deals more consistently. She was closing around 30%. I was closing around like 70. So like we could it wasn't two steps forward, three steps back. It was like, four steps and three. And it's like, hey, we're positive. We made more money than last month. And then, once we made enough money, she collected a good amount and she put it right into ads. And then she hit a 50K month, her first month ever in ads. Now, a lot of you listening are like, oh, dude, sick. I'll just skip the line, take it alone, run ads. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a working system organically and then put money behind it for it to actually work. So by doing that, yes, it provided a spark and it helped her business. But the issue was that it created some dependency for Brooke. Brooke's business couldn't run without me or a closer for that matter. So we brought in another closer because C4F was taking off at that point. The other closer was hit and miss, Lauren. She was so back and forth. She just wouldn't show up some days. We'd have prospects text us and be like, hey, she's not here on the call. And then Brooke would freak out because she's like, oh my God, I got to take the call. I'm not good at sales. So she had put this label on herself that says, I'm not good at sales. So if her closer just didn't show up one day, she was screwed, right? Her closer was really, really good. She closed historically at like 65 to 70% when she showed up. You see what I mean by that?
Yep.
So what happened was I told Brooke, I'm like, you have to make a decision. Like, one, you're going to get the best fitness sales coaching, in my opinion, and in the entire world for free if you just work with me on this. But she just had it in her head that she wasn't good at sales, that she never would be. So like this went on for a long time. It wasn't until she finally let this closer go. Okay. She let the closer go. She got our training. I worked with her obviously one-to-one. And now she closes at like 80% every single month. Cold leads, ads, doesn't matter. 80% month after month. And her business is very much more profitable than it was with a closer because she was taking 10, 15% and then also creating like a bad reputation for her. And Brooke would have been held into this position of dependency hadn't she just kind of like escaped that label. Back to your point, long way of saying, had we just done it right, I trained her on sales instead of just doing it for her. She never would have had that dependency. She would have made a lot more money, and she wouldn't have had to deal with a difficult closer for as long as she did, about a year. So for everyone out there that's feeling like they're ready to scale, be proficient before you outsource. Otherwise, you become dependent. Maybe I should make like a little political slogan on that.
Yeah, I I love that. I will also say it kind of plays into the role of like, what we were talking about earlier, which is like that work ethic piece. And I think work ethic, going back into it, is really not just about doing the things, but also doing the things on the other end of it that's going to make you get better at the things on the front end of it, if that makes
Oh,
sense to you.
absolutely.
Like
The
when it
skill
comes
building, skill
into,
dev.
yeah, when it comes into my success with C4F and like what I've experienced with you guys, you guys gave me a great, the steps, the explanations, the course, the material that I needed to be successful. But I will tell you that I spent 30 minutes every single day blocked out of my calendar going through scripts, understanding the ins and outs, learning how to
Mhm.
do a little bit of push pull, and sounding stupid talking to myself and having like running word tracks, like,
Yeah.
what I've done over the past few months. Like, but that's time that I blocked out of my day, because that development is just as important as the frontline development and how I
Oh, for
perform.
sure.
you know
There's so much that goes into owning a business. I mean, there's so many skills that have to all come together for you to be like a successful business owner. I'm not trying to scare people away, but there's a management component, there's a mindset component, there's a skills component, there is a marketing component, there's a coaching component. Like there's so many things that you have to. Owning a small business is 100% just the desire to improve and skill development, just learning new skills. That's 99% of owning a small business. It's just wanting to be better at a lot of things.
yeah.
Okay, you mentioned it, so we'll dive into it. Working with C4F, obviously, it's been an absolute blast. You've been with us about 2 months or so. Walk us through like where you were before C4F, and then we'll kind of go present day.
Yeah. Um, Gosh, I love my story with C4F. It's like
I
I
do too.
still I still can't believe my story with C4F. So when I came to C4F, it was November, which is supposed to be like one of the hottest months for us, because like you got Black Friday going, like you're getting into the holidays where people are
Yep.
just like starting to think about like, New Year's resolutions and stuff. Like it's like a really good time in business. And when I came to Brent, I was literally like scared out of my mind, like that panic that we were talking about
Naturally.
earlier. Like I was completely panicked. I was hitting my lowest month that I had in ages. At that point in time, I had grown my business to like around like $15,000 to $20,000 months was like my norm.
Hmm.
But I mean, hadn't closed a sale in November. It was already like more than halfway through the month in November.
Hmm.
Um, and I literally said to Brent, I'm scared. Like I
Yeah,
cannot.
I remember.
Yeah, our ads are tanking, our conversations are not great. uh Calls are no showing, so I'm not even getting on sales calls. Like I mean, like I was in a place of panic, and to the point where I said to Brent, like, I don't know if I'm even going to be able to pay out my staff this month.
It's a terrible
I,
feeling.
and this was not just like the month of November. October, out of my $15,000 months I collected, I I brought home $730 that month.
That's crazy. It's
That's
crazy.
insane.
But we see it all the time. I mean, so many businesses that have that big top line, and then the filters are just too dense. And what boils down to the bank account is it's this exact scenario. But continue.
Yeah. Um so I mean, when I was referred to Brent by someone who had a lot of experience in different coaching companies out there, different business coaches out there, I said to Brent, like, at this point in time, like, I don't know if I can invest, but I also don't even know that I have, like, that cost of inaction was going to be so much, was going to
Hmm.
cost me so much more. If I said to him, like, there is just no, like, there's no place to go from here. If I continue where I'm at now, like, I will be out of business in a matter of months. Like, I can't do that to myself. um and I asked the question, we're over halfway through November, we got 2 weeks left in November, can we turn November around and make it a profitable month so I can afford coaching again, so I can afford the direction that I need?
Mhm.
And the answer was 100% yes. We 2
Yeah.
weeks, it's 2 weeks. We got plenty of time to do that.
Yeah.
So I did it. I pulled the trigger with C4F. I dove in like head first with the program, like
She's not
getting.
kidding when she says that, by the way.
Yeah, I
There
was
was
blowing Brent up on
zero
the back.
hesitation. Lauren was like, let's F and go. Like, give me all the responsibility. I'll do it right now. I won't sleep for 2 days if I need to. So
Yes,
I
yes, I
I
was
love
ready to
that
dive
mentality.
in. And November, we ended up in 2 weeks closing out our highest month ever to
It's
date.
crazy.
I think we closed out November at just about 30,000 collected, and from
Insane.
October, where I brought home $740 from my profit margins, right?
Mhm.
November, I profited $15,000 in November.
Sheesh. It's one of my favorite stories. And it's for a lot of people are probably listening, Lauren, and I want to hear your take on this. People are probably listening and thinking, yeah, but this, but that. But she already had a business, but she had this, she had that, she had the systems. What do you say to those people that are like, that could never be me, right? Like if I invest, there's no way I would have that same success. What's your impression?
Yeah, my impression is that the only person stopping you from getting that success would be you. We can say look at it from like a fitness coach or a health coach, right? Like we can give you the perfect meal plan. We can give you the perfect nutrition protocols, perfect training program, but if you're not showing up and if you're not doing the
Exactly.
things, if you're not checking in, you're not going to have success. You're not going to
Nope.
lose weight. You're not going to build muscle. You're not going to get shredded, because all of those things take. If as even like I say this to my clients all the time, if you want above and beyond results, it's going to take above and beyond work to get there, right?
Absolutely.
Above average results, above average work, and the same goes for for our business. So you know one thing that I've loved, this experience working with C4F and Brent and Wayne is that they take the time to really work one on one with you to look at where your bottlenecks in your business are and you know, what those solutions really should look like for you. So for me, it was a lot of, my overhead costs and being able
Hmm.
to, $30 here, which didn't seem like that big of a deal, and $45 at DocuSign and,
Yeah.
all those other stupid things
Damn
that
it,
I
DocuSign.
damn
Not a
DocuSign.
fan.
But taking a look at those specific things, like that was a big piece to my profit margins. But then
Hmm.
looking at my entire pricing structure and being able to, kind of nail that down and figure out like where my prices really needed to be in order to support my business. They could have given me all that information, but if I didn't physically make those changes, if I didn't cut my contract with DocuSign,
Yeah. That was
right? Like I I would have still been where I came to them. So it
mhm.
was my responsibility to actually take that coaching and do it.
And I want to spend some time on that. Just a moment, but here's what I'm saying to anybody who's let's just call it out, right? We send these videos a lot of times, and people are probably listening. Some people find us organically. We use these a lot for like nurturing as well, so people can see like real content, right? Or get a feel for like how I actually coach or for how our clients actually feel. If that's you, if you're waiting for a call with us, or if you're considering hopping on a call, or any of the sort, right? I'm here to tell you very bluntly, I'm not going to run your business for you. Okay. So if that's what you're looking for, you won't get it here. Okay. It is all like just self responsibility. I can give you the exact plan that I know works. I can give you my best swing at things, right? But if you don't implement, if you don't do the thing, you will not get any results. Zero, zilch, none. Okay. Your investment will be 100% wasted. And that's happened, by the way, where people have come in and they're like, all right, I paid. Where's my $1 million business? And it's like, nope, not how that works. Let's start taking action. And if you don't take action, you won't get results. No different than if you went to the gym and you walked around it twice and then went home. Okay. So Lauren here has gotten massive results because she's taking massive action. Anytime we recommend something, she does it. And that, again, I think that's why I love working with Lauren. She gets a lot of results and she gets things done really quickly. And I think that's a testament of being a successful business owner. So let's kick it over to the people who are skeptical, right? The people who are maybe not even so much skeptical, Lauren, but they're just kind of jaded. Okay. The
Yep.
people who have maybe invested in a coach. I know you've invested in a few coaches. Maybe, and by the way, what Lauren was alluding to just a moment ago, the person who referred her, his name is AJ Morton. I think he deserves a shout out. I think he runs a wonderful business. He's the Fit Pro Mentorship Review on Facebook. He runs a business where essentially it's like Yelp for fit pros. Basically, he just vets all the business coaches in the fitness space. He goes into their Slack channels, into their programs. He interviews their clients. He keeps up with everything. And then he tells you, basically, he'll guide you. It might be me, it might be someone else. There's several trusted mentors on who he thinks that you're going to pair best with. And clearly he does a really good job. So my CTA, which isn't even for me, is to AJ. If you guys are wondering like who you should invest in, it very well might not be me. It might be 10 other coaches. Go check his Facebook group out and invest with confidence. Okay. Maybe we'll be connected, right? But again, maybe someone else is better fit for your needs. Okay. So AJ, phenomenal person, phenomenal program. Appreciate him for connecting us here. Now, for the people who have been in other programs though, and they're kind of shit, they're hey, do this in the course, don't talk to me, right? Or there's no one-to-one or anything like that. What are your words of advice for them if they're considering hopping in C4F, but they're concerned about the one-to-one attention?
The one-to-one attention is like my favorite part of C4F. That's like one of my favorite parts of C4F, number one. But I have invested in other coaches before. I have had really poor experiences with other coaches before. And one of the big things that I'm just a huge advocate for, like, communication and transparency. Like, that is a really big piece of who I am. It's how I run my business, and it's how I want, people to come to me and feel like they can be transparent with me. When I came to C4F, I had known exactly, like, working with the previous coaches in the past, like what I didn't like, what, where I felt like I didn't get the service that I paid for, or, where I felt those weaknesses were, to be able to have a conversation, transparent conversation, and say, hey, how is this going to be different? Right.
Yep.
And I'll give you a specific example just because it's in the top of my brain. Is the last coaching company that I was with, they put me with like a success coach, or like it wasn't the owner. It wasn't, it was just somebody else that ran a successful fitness and an online coaching business. And while the coach was great and had some really good feedback and things to say, like, I was with that company for 6 months, and at no point in the 6 months was I actually growing. My revenue was staying the same. I might have had like a little jump in the beginning, but then stayed the same, stagnant for 6 months. And nothing, there was nobody addressing that. There was nobody saying to me like, hey, like, we're not growing. We need to be looking at different things. Let's break down this. Let's break down that. We need to be seeing this needle move. Where actually my profit margins were actually going down, because as I was staying stagnant in my collected, or my income, my expenses were going up. Right. So, one big piece is, working with C4F, Wayne explained to me too, that, you guys are looking at KPIs on a regular basis, whether it be weekly, whether it be, daily, sometimes, making sure that people are seeing that progress, that are hitting KPIs, that are getting to where they need to be. And if they are not, addressing it right away, getting ahead of that curve.
Exactly.
so that was like my biggest, like for me, like one of the experiences that I wanted to make sure that would be different, investing in this coaching company versus some of the others that I've worked with in the past. But I would take a really good inventory of any experiences that you've had, or maybe specifically where you feel you need the most support. And
Hmm.
worst that can happen is you come to a call and they say, oh, well, we can't really help you with that. Okay, well, then maybe they're not a good fit for you. But like,
Right.
chances are
Exactly.
they're going to have an understanding of what's important to you. They're going to make note of it and make sure that that stays on the forefront of your experience working with them, and sets you up for success, and it sets them up for success to make sure that your experience is the best too.
I appreciate that, Lauren. Appreciate those kind words. And she's 100% right. If I don't feel like we can help, it's just not like I'm in the business, and that's intentional. Could I scale up and out? Yeah, I could hire 4 success coaches, and I could just sit on my big fat lazy boy chair in front of me and just chill all day. But I don't really want to. I want to be like in. I want to be hands on. I enjoy this. I genuinely enjoy this interaction. I enjoy helping people get to where they want to go. So it doesn't feel like a good fit. I have zero issue just saying no, because I'm going to be in on your account. I have like a personal, I don't want to say investment, but I'm going to be personally there working with you. So if I don't feel like it's going to be fun, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so that's just me being selfish. Lauren, I appreciate you tremendously. I think you're a wealth of knowledge. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram. I am Coach Scholl on Instagram. That's Coach CoachScholl. We're Defined Fitness and Nutrition. So on Instagram, we're Defined FN, DEFINED FN. Online on our website, www.
Beautiful, beautiful. She's got a wonderful business. It's buttoned up real tight. And yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, I'm sure Lauren's DMs are open to answer. She loves
Super
helping
happy to
people.
help.
Yeah. So again, Lauren, appreciate you for hopping on.
Thanks so much, Brent, for having me.